How do you move tons of narcotics without touching a single kilo? Start by opening 100 shell companies with fake documents and let U.S. banks do the heavy lifting. Today, we unpack the federal indictment that treats money as the quiet pipeline, detailing $77 million washed through American accounts, drop locations, and coordinators working like a multinational. Stay with me to see how one arrest in Mexico City and a courtroom in Brooklyn exposed the control center behind the shipments, and why this system's approach could choke the network for good. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If the drugs were the smoke, why did the fire sit inside U.S. bank accounts under harmless company names? The quiet pipeline is a money-first system. It doesn't wait for a truck to cross a border. It starts where cash lands after street sales and moves faster than any shipment can. Think of it as a conveyor that never powers down. When a load gets seized, the money path keeps running, feeding payroll, sourcing chemicals, and paying bribes. Seizures dent inventory. They don't cut the flow. That's why prosecutors zero in on accounts, not warehouses. The real choke point is the cash that looks boring on a bank statement but is timed, routed, and cleaned before anyone can grab it. Here's how it's built. More than 100 shell companies appear on paper with clean formation documents, state filings, and mail drops that look like ordinary suites. Nominee officers sign where needed. Each entity holds bank accounts and vendor profiles. They have EINs, formation dates, and generic websites thrown together from templates. None of that triggers curiosity on its own. Each company can pass a quick glance from a banker because the paperwork checks out. The fraud sits upstream in the identities and false records used to open the doors. The workflow runs city by city. Sales proceeds pool in hubs, cash-heavy zones where couriers can feed ATMs, teller windows, and night drops. Coordinators assign where the deposits go that day, splitting amounts to keep under review thresholds and to match the profile of a normal business. Funds land first in feeder entities, then move laterally into second and third layer companies. By the time a wire goes out, it looks like a supplier payment or a logistics invoice. The descriptions match seasons, fuel costs, and vendor cycles. That timing sells the cover. Scale matters. Since 2016, at least $77 million washed through these accounts. The shells read like Main Street. Vendors, logistics firms, importers. Names that fit on a receipt without raising a brow. The accounts show payroll-like debits on Fridays, tax-like payments at quarter's end, and refunds that mimic returns. It's pattern camouflage. Banks see rhythms they expect and let the movement ride. Take one company filed as a Freight Services LLC. No trucks, no warehouse lease, no freight insurance, yet it processed six-figure payments from small wholesalers and distributors that don't exist beyond a mailbox. Within 48 hours, the LLC split the inflow across 3 affiliates. One paid a port handling fee, one covered equipment rental, and one moved money offshore as a settlement. On paper, it looked like a busy shipping week. In reality, not a single box left a dock. Research shows money outruns product every time. Financial data analytics can flag the same controller across multiple entities by login habits, device fingerprints, routing choices, and consistent settlement windows, even when names and addresses change. Seizure logs tell you what got caught. The transaction graph tells you who steers the wheel. Analysts trace recurring beneficiaries, weekend pauses, and month-end spikes to find the hands behind the keyboards. So what is the quiet pipeline, and why is it more dangerous? It bankrolls operations without waiting for shipments to clear. It absorbs losses by backfilling seized product with ready cash. It hides command nodes behind banal banking, statements that read like office rent and freight bills. The system turns crime into routine paperwork, and routine gets ignored. If money is the bloodstream, who was the pacemaker timing the beats? How do you steer millions through banks without tripping alarms? Use centralized timing, passwords, and paperwork. Meet Shidong Jiang, known as Brother Wong. Mexican authorities grabbed him in Mexico City. Then he slipped from house arrest, got picked up again, and went on a plane to the United States. He landed in Brooklyn to face federal charges and entered a not guilty plea. Prosecutors don't describe a street boss. They outline a node. a coordinator who connects the cash on U.S. soil to the people directing logistics in Mexico, and who keeps the rhythm tight so deposits and wires don't trigger scrutiny. Most cartel stories talk about gunmen and routes. This one focuses on someone who maps humans to bank screens. The alleged role is not about managing stash houses. It's about managing time and identity. Who logs in, when they click, what memo line they use, and how the account profile matches a believable business week after week. It's an office job with higher stakes. Control starts with communications. Messaging channels move instructions in short packets. Which city takes cash today? Which bank branch receives it? Which deposit window or ATM to use? And what dollar bands to stick to? Coordinators send fresh invoice numbers to fit the cover companies, then push revised PDFs when something shifts. They also assign drop locations for couriers, swapping addresses if a site looks hot. And they set daily caps to keep transactions under the thresholds that force manual reviews. The hierarchy splits across a border. Supervisors in Mexico set the production and shipment cycles and signal when proceeds should surge or slow. US-based operators open new LLCs, gather employer IDs, maintain corporate kits, and keep bank relationships warm. One group handles account openings, another keeps the statements and annual reports tidy, and a third moves funds according to a calendar that mirrors real vendor behavior. That division keeps hands clean. Few people see the whole picture. Concrete movement looks boring, and that's the point. A stack of small deposits lands across several branches, each sized to blend with retail cash. The first account transfers to a second as a freight fee, then to a third for packaging, then to a fourth as a return. A larger wire leaves on a Tuesday morning, a common vendor payday. Couriers treat cash like raw material, dropping bundles that tellers can feed into business accounts with simple slips. The next day, those deposits become corporate payments to entities with generic names that fit a trade ledger. The evidence set, according to the case, follows the office trail. Corporate filings show who formed what and when. Communications link handle names to scheduling and passwords. Transaction data charts consistent routes back to Mexico and to nodes where profits reinvest. Each layer adds a hint: repeated IP ranges, recurring transaction times, same-day reversals that match a past pattern. One ledger line is a dot. A chain of them draws a map. Risk never goes to zero, so the financial arm plans for failure. When a cashier flags a sequence or a seizure clips a bundle, they rebrand a company, file a new entity with a clean name, and move the banking to a different branch network. They can duplicate a vendor profile in hours, update the invoice template, and rebuild a route within days. The money path barely blinks because the operators treat entities as consumables. With the coordinator in court, the mission changes. You don't chase the next truck. You start pulling threads in the blueprint and watch the whole fabric sag.
Educators to guide the next generation, not sell them. June 8th, 2024. 47 miles off the coast of Miami, Florida. 34 young women, ages 18 to 24, held on a luxury yacht, forced into prostitution for wealthy clients. This wasn't a foreign trafficking ring operating in international waters. This was a sex trafficking empire run by a Harvard-educated professor, using her academic position to recruit elite university students and deliver them to billionaires on yachts. 12:47 a.m., FBI Special Agent Nicole Reeves stood on the deck of a Coast Guard cutter, looking at satellite images of a 180-foot luxury yacht anchored 47 miles offshore. The Ocean's Promise, registered in the Cayman Islands, owned by a shell company linked to a Dubai real estate mogul, currently hosting what the crew manifest called a corporate retreat. But FBI intelligence said otherwise. 34 women, Reeves said to the assembled team, FBI, Coast Guard, HSI, and Florida state investigators, ages 18 to 24, all current or recent university students, Georgetown, Yale, Columbia, USC, Northwestern, honor students, Dean's List, some with full scholarships. She clicked a remote. Photos appeared, young women at graduation ceremonies, academic award, a message from her attorney. FBI has been asking questions. Be careful. She deleted it immediately. She'd been careful for 5 years. Encrypted communications, offshore accounts, shell companies, no paper trails linking her to the networking events. And her academic position, perfect cover. distinguished professor, women's rights advocate, mentor to disadvantaged students. Who would suspect her? She walked to the window, looking out at the dark ocean. In 6 hours, 3 wealthy men would arrive. The women would perform their roles. Money would transfer. Everyone would leave satisfied.